And welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel here with Gage Sheets. This time we're not talking Texas baseball. We're not talking Texas football, or should Texas make a coaching change in basketball. We're here to talk PGA Tour. We're here to talk my favorite 4 days in all of the sports world each year, the Masters. We are the eve of the Masters. How about you, Gage? How excited do you get for this golf tournament? And how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. I get excited for any golf tournament, but the Masters is obviously special. So it's had a lot of good memories watching the Masters with my grandfather growing up. So yeah, it's an exciting tournament and it's an exciting part of the year, and it means more golf for us too because the weather's turning. So
True. I mean, yeah, that's a good point. When you're really getting to this part of the year, spring's upon us, and it's really, it's golf season.
yeah,
Will say, I thought that the tidbit with the grandfathers is a lot of people out there when it comes to the Masters. I did not grow up a massive golf fan. I did not grow up somebody that wanted to watch golf Thursday through Sunday at, every single tournament year round. I never thought I would be in the spot that I am now. But one thing that I do know is that the Masters was always on TV. I don't remember the U.S. Open, PGA Championship, Tour Championship, the Players. Like, I don't remember those being nearly as big when I was younger. And now we can thank Tiger Woods, and some of the obviously the stars that are still around today, for that growth and just what it's done for the game globally. But the Masters was one thing that was always on with my grandparents, aunts, uncles. It was always there, and so you knew the Masters was special, and that was a one golf tournament that even if you weren't a golf fan, you knew what it was, where it was, when it was, or what time of the year it was. And back then, you knew that Tiger was gonna, be in contention on each and every Sunday. So that was me and my, kind of perspective of the Masters growing up. And yeah, so for you guys that are listening, that are followers of this channel, golf is a huge passion of mine. Gage and I talk about golf. I don't know, maybe daily, if not every other day.
yeah.
We played together some, and so this is something we've wanted to do on this channel. Wanted to come into the golf realm as well. I love Texas sports, love college athletics a little bit more than just, team affiliated channel, but y'all all know this because we talk about all teams on here. And so for you guys that are in here, thanks for being here. I want to see some comments. Let's talk some winners. Let's talk about guys that you would bet on in this tournament. I'm not telling you to bet, but if you were betting, or maybe you have, who do you like? We're going to talk about top 10 finishers, top 20 finishers, get into some of our favorite Masters tidbits, memories, traditions, all of those things. But I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Like this video if you don't mind. I want to do this again, but if nobody likes it, nobody watches, I don't want to waste anybody's time, yours or mine. So if it all works out, y'all like this, please let us know so that we can go ahead and oblige you guys to do this again. That being said, let's get into it, Gage. When you're thinking the 2025 Masters, give me, in your opinion, maybe the top 2 or 3 headlines going into this year's tournament.
I think obviously the 2 big headlines is, can Scottie do it again, and can Rory put the green jacket on? Like, those are the 2. And Rory's playing good golf. Obviously, Scottie, and we're talking about 3 in a row, which is remarkable. And then obviously Rory getting the job done, winning the Masters. I mean, that's 2 right there. That should intrigue you. If you know anything about golf, that should really pique your interest and get you ready to get up in the morning and watch some golf, because that's 2 pretty special things that can happen this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool part about this tournament is there's so much going on that the 2 very obvious main headlines, as Gage has mentioned, Scottie Scheffler, can he continue his dominance at Augusta, or can Rory finally break through? Can he conquer Augusta demons? Can he reach the ultimate pinnacle and have that grand slam of majors? That's what it is. But in the last 2 days, in my opinion, the main 2 headlines, in which they're not the main headlines, but this tournament has so many great things about it that these headlines have taken over. But the Champions Dinner, we've had a lot of on the timeline, you YouTubers. We've talked what we would serve if we were a Masters champion, what we would serve Masters champion dinner. It's been a lot of fun answers, some really bland answers, and then some really exotic answers. It's all been fun. And then the par 3 contest. I thought today was really, really cool. You see Shane Lowry's daughter out there making a putt and going pretty berserk. Somehow, some way, Poppy McIlroy drains probably a 20, 25 footer down a hill with a little bit of break. And she's touching this putt, making it go 2 inches. After about 12 feet, it almost stops completely. It's a special place. It's a special tournament, and you don't get to see that anywhere else in the golf world, at least for these pro guys, where they're getting out there with their families, their kids. Sometimes it's wives, moms, dads, whatever it is, and able to have that experience. Gage, did you watch any of the par 3? I know that you're working up there right now and busy, but did you get to check anything out of it or from it out? And what did you think, if so?
Yeah, I watched the beginning parts of it. I really enjoyed just seeing the guys, especially. I think the one that really pulled at my heartstrings was Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth with their kids, because obviously we've seen them grow up a lot through the last decade, and to see them with their kids and walking down and see it was just crazy to me. These guys are in the spotlight so much, and to see the growth and just them as their families and not only golfers is really fun to see. And I think the par 3 contest kind of puts that in perspective of who these guys really are. And they're just like us. They're normal family people. And so I thought that one was obviously Jordan has a special place in my heart, because I'm always rooting for him. And so, yeah, that was really cool seeing him and Justin. Obviously they're really good friends, and their kids and stuff like that. And it's just crazy to see how far they've come and stuff like that. And I think the par 3 contest really puts that in perspective for everybody. So that was really awesome.
Really well said, buddy. I loved all of that. I think it's really neat to see Sammy Spieth out there, and I believe I can't remember JT's daughter's name, but to see them out there, and it's for those guys. I don't know how many of you guys are big time golf fans or remember early on in Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, and I hate to bring him up, but Ricky Fowler's career. We need Ricky at Augusta. We've got to get Ricky playing better, but. They were the spring break guys. There was a big trip that they took down to some island, and they played in swim shorts. They didn't wear shirts. They didn't wear shoes, and they did that every day for a week. And they posted a ton of videos on social media. They acted, like we would act if we went to an island and had a lot of fun on spring break. And that being said, we got one more gentleman we're going to add here to the show. Welcome, my good friend, Mr. Danny Old Donnie. Hey, Danny, how we doing tonight, Bubba?
I'm good. Can y'all hear me?
You hear you well, man. You sound great.
What's going on?
Oh, not much, man. We're just talking a little par 3 contest, and kind of how cool it is for these guys and how they're able to have that family time, something that we don't get to see really them have anywhere else. The cameras are always on them when they're on the golf course, but when they go home and they have those private moments with family and the kids are running around, everybody's having. We don't get to see that. The par 3 is truly. I know social media is big, and some of these guys post some things. Danny, a thing or two about social media for sure, and posting, family moments. But it's really neat to get a little bit of a look at that. And so, what about you, Danny? Did you get to watch any today? And what did you think, if so?
I got to see a little bit. I actually wanted to start my Masters week by trying to sneak around in this morning, so I did.
There we go.
But I agree with you. Sorry, my wife's vacuuming downstairs, so I don't know if y'all picked that up, but I think it's cool, especially, Cord, you have kiddos now, and Gage, I'm not sure if you do or not, but I have 5 little ones running around. Y'all can see some of them behind me, but, the guys that I've watched sort of, big fans of, like the Justin Thomases, Jordan Spieth, like Max Homa, seeing all those dudes from when they were young 20s to now, sort of makes you relate what they're going through. So it is really cool to see them running around with little ones now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's the same thing we were just saying. These were the spring break guys just, like a decade ago. They're coming on tour, and they're running around having a blast and getting into a lot of other things that, not saying they're getting into bad things, but whole different world for these guys. It's definitely a come full circle. And I will say, we mentioned it. It hurts to not see Ricky Fowler here. And, not that he's gone over there and just torn it up at Augusta. He had some good success early on, and we'll get Danny back on in a moment. But it definitely hurts to not have Ricky here in the mix.
Yeah, I would say the other guy that it hurts, and we kind of talked about it, is Gary Woodland. Obviously, his U.S. Open thing ran out, so he's missing the Masters. And I was really hoping he could kind of pull through something. A couple weeks ago, we were watching in Houston, and he was making a charge, and I was like, "Come on, Gary, win this so you can play in the Masters." Like, I was really hoping to see Gary Woodland, but it's still a great story, and he'll be back. But yeah, Gary Woodland, Ricky Fowler, like missing out on those two guys, it definitely gives it a different feel. And Ricky, obviously, he's only played in like one of the last 3, so it's kind of disappointing. But hopefully he'll be back soon.
Yeah, you just got to play a lot better, man. That's all it comes down to. And the competition is obviously as good as it's ever been. And so that road back, it's probably harder than it was before. And this is a guy that, his life has changed. He is a family guy now as well. And
Yep.
all the three of us know that'll change a thing or two, maybe with a golf swing, maybe more than we're willing to admit. I will say this, Danny, you're playing golf on the eve of the Masters. How'd it go for you?
It wasn't great.
He says not great. It's like 7 over, but
no, I shot 80, but I had 2 7s on the card and shot 80. So I played out at the course we played at a lot, Cord. It's not too difficult, so I'm not too happy with it, but I also haven't played a ton yet this year, so got to give some grace. There you
go. And that's something we'll see if the guy that I want to win this tournament can give himself a little bit this weekend. And that's what's hard for me is because, I'm a Texas fan. I love Jordan Spieth. We've seen Jordan Spieth go through, he's reached heaven and he's reached hell in this tournament. He's seen both sides of that coin. And that opportunity to go back to back and just have that flounder. I want revenge for Spieth. I want him to have vengeance at Augusta and to just kind of conquer his own set of demons. But then Rory has it. You look at a ton of people in this field, and you can make a great storyline. And that's what's so beautiful about the tournament is that anybody that wins, except for maybe Sergio Garcia back over a decade ago, I'm really dang happy for. All right, I wanted Jay Rose to win that one. I really did. It's hard to get behind Sergio. But let me ask you guys this: we have Danny for a short time. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. What's your overall favorite Masters tradition, Danny? Just overall, whether it be Champions Dinner, Par 3, particular hole. What is it, man?
I think like coming in second would be like 12 on Sunday. The fact that hole just continues to baffle everybody, that's where you're talking about Spieth. That's where he obviously had his explosion like back in 2016. But even when, Tiger was winning it in 2019, the amount of guys that just hit the ball in the water there that can't figure out that win. So that's always fun to watch. But I think as far as traditions go, the Champions Dinner is probably about as cool as it gets, at least for me. It's always funny, like other tournaments try to do it, but it just never seems to sort of catch on,
Right.
But man, I just would love to be a fly on the wall and, one of those just to see what sort of like, trash talking goes back and forth, like what they talk about in there. But I feel like that's got to be the coolest one for me at Augusta.
The amount of wisdom and then storytelling that probably is going down in that room, for hours. Every Tuesday night of this year or this week. I can't imagine. It'd be really cool. That's really high for me as well. Gage, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, I was also gonna just say just Sunday period, but the back 9 on Sunday and specifically again 12. Like there's just so many memories of the meltdowns that are happening there or the get bys. You just remember a lot of the times the guys that win, that's the hole that they win on. That's where you can kind of tell like, okay, if they get past here, then they can kind of accelerate to the finish line. But then we already talked about the Par 3, but I just like the Par 3. I've got kids, like I'm a family person, and it would be really special to experience something like that. So it warms my heart every time I see it. So I really enjoy seeing the guys around their family and having a good time. So,
do you guys think they're a little bit bummed when somebody that hasn't won before wins it, and they're like, we got to add somebody else to the Champions Dinner? Like it's so exclusive. They're like, I'd kind of like somebody that's already won one, so we don't have to like bring another seat up to the table, sort of thing. Or do you think they're happy to have somebody new in there?
You're giving me another opportunity to bring up Sergio Garcia right here and throw a little more slander his way. I'd
That
say
includes
it's all,
boy too, though.
true. I say it just depends on who it is, because
Yeah.
you got guys in there that, let's not pretend, are super loved by everybody on tour. Like you just said, Patrick Reed's in that room.
Phil now, he was back in it.
Phil, which feels incredibly polarizing. There's going to be guys that love Phil and hate Phil. I feel like the majority love Phil, but well said. There's some guys in there that are very
I think
outspoken,
now,
yeah, and loud with their opinions. And now you bring in all the PGA and the live stuff, and that divide. And nobody really knows what the hell's going on with that as far as future goes. But who knows what that does as far as into playing it out into that room as well, and leaking out there. So I'd still love to be there, drama or not. If they could all hate me, and I wouldn't care. You have a green jacket at the end of the day, and people can say what they want at Reed or Sergio or whoever it may be. They're still sitting in that room, and that's the most, people call it the most enviable invite in the world, and that's got to be pretty dang accurate right there. Let's do this. Let's go favorite Masters memories. All right, we'll start with you this time, Gage. Overall, I don't care if you share multiple. Give me some of your favorite Masters memories, and if you have one or two, just maybe they hurt you a little bit, because I think I have a few of those. Feel free to share those as well.
Yeah, I think one that really comes to the front of my mind is just going back to Jordan in 2015. Like, a lot of times when I think of like some of my favorite sports memories with some of my favorite players or teams, it always goes back to kind of when I was in the military and I was, gone away from home, and I just got to like kind of have those special moments of like, it's time when it's lonely. There's lonely times when you're in the military, and like Jordan winning the Masters that year, it was kind of a hard time in my military career, and it was just really fun to see. And obviously he's Texan and he's from Texas. He went to Texas, so it's like me and my grandpa kind of got to share that special moment. I called in while we were out to sea and talked about it and stuff like that. And so it was a really awesome moment watching Jordan win and kind of dominate the way he did that year too. So I think that's the one that is by far one of my favorite.
I love it, man. Yeah, that was a big moment. Texas hadn't had a green jacket since Ben Crenshaw there in the early mid 90s. So that was a big moment. Spieth mode, was a hashtag back then. Everybody was hashtag Spieth mode, and he was doing things at Augusta with a little bit more magic than everyone else. And how about you, Danny? As far as favorite Masters memories, what do you have, brother?
Yeah, man. I mean that's probably number one for me. I'm a huge Spieth guy, and seeing him like get so close the year before,
Yep.
and then finally do it like you said in pretty easy fashion. I've watched that broadcast back on YouTube a couple times. Usually getting ready for the week. But then you go excruciating would be the next year too. I mean, that was just like, I remember being in my apartment with my roommate, a big golfer, and we were watching, and when he made the turn, we were, whatever he was, 4 shots up. We're like, dude, this is like back then, Spieth with the lead on the back 9 seemed like a sure thing. And then just, carnage happened, and we were just kind of shocked. And I remember even thinking at the time, like, this is this is the kind of loss that, derails like a career, or can just, you were the guy that, was closing tournaments and that kind of guy. And then I just feel like the confidence there for me is whenever it started trying to, dip a little bit. And then he obviously won the Open a couple years later. But just for sort of history, I would say like the 2019 back 9 was just incredible to watch. I remember that was remember they had the weather coming in, and so they played Sunday like super early, and they played threesomes. And I was going to church, and then we also had like our like small group afterwards back then on Sundays. And so I was like, when it was going to start late, it was going to be perfect, but it started early. I was like, I'm not going to get to see any of it. So I had my phone off literally the entire time. And then, for whatever that was, 4, 5, 6 hours before I could watch it. And then, was like telling my small group, like, nobody tell me before we even start. Like, I just want you to know, I have no idea where anything is. I don't want to know. And then getting home and like getting to watch that was pretty incredible. And I'm a huge like Brooks Koepka fan, and I mean seeing I don't even remember everybody that was on that leaderboard, but it was like everybody was hunting Tiger, and for one more time it seemed like he just was ready. He was able to sort of hold them off and shut them down. That was just a really cool kind of time, in golf to just see him, like, who knew if he was ever going to get one more, and then to watch that sort of unfold was pretty cool.
Really well said there. You talked full circle moments, and Tiger, everybody remembers him coming off the 18th green, the first time wins at Augusta National, and his dad being there, and the many times that he was waiting for him off the 18th green, and then to see Charlie and Tiger's family just to be there for him in that moment. It was cool for a billion reasons. It was definitely very special for golf. Talk about carnage, man. The course played really that day. You talk about the weather coming in. The back nine played particularly tough, and it seemed like everybody except for Tiger they couldn't go grab it. Everybody stepped backwards, some stepped a couple steps back, and Tiger just held on, man. He was like, you know what, I'm gonna hit irons to middle of greens, and if I can't roll it home from 20, 25, 30 feet, we'll take a par. And that was enough. I mean, he made it, what, I don't even know, just a couple birdies there on the back nine. And he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to push it.
Yeah.
And special times. I'd say overall, I'm probably with Spieth's win as well. Hate to piggyback on you guys. I definitely think the one that hurts the most is watching Spieth melt down. It's one thing, if you're not like a Spieth guy, but it was just, I think, like the shock in his eyes and over his entire body just after the second mistake, and you turn around and there's more mistakes there on the back nine, and just obviously far from himself. But like you, Danny, the year before he won it, if you take out holes 8 and 9 there on that front side, Jordan probably wins that tournament. If he could have just played those 2 holes, he probably wins that tournament. So you're talking about a stretch of probably about 3 golf holes that legitimately could have cost Jordan straight green jackets. And I know that's optimal thinking, best case, but I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And that's why the margin for error with these guys is so slim, especially now, even, a decade down the line, it's even tougher out there. The competition is insane. So, Danny, you still got a few more minutes that you can hang out?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Cool. All right. Just checking in.
I have to ask the question that the people want to know.
Okay.
How much exposure do you have on Rory this week? That's what we all want to know.
All right, I'm gonna be very honest. I have absolutely zero, nothing,
really, no
nada.
faith in boy, or just emotional.
Oh no, he's winning the tournament. That's a lock on that. But I am not dragging him down with my negative energy, my bad juju. I'm staying far away from it. I've bet Rory McIlroy to win this tournament, to win every other major that has been played, probably for 7 or 8 years. No, I'd say 5 or 6 years. Comfortably say, yeah, every single one of them. All of them. Guess which one I didn't bet earlier in this year, Danny? I would bet Rory to win the Players. I bet Rory to win the Players in 2019 when he won. Didn't bet him to win the Players. Didn't bet anyone to win the Players. I just said, I like how Rory's playing. I'm staying away. Let's just have fun with hopefully watching Rory get hot. And so, yeah, to see him win it, I'm like, you know what? That's all I need to know. If I don't get to bet on another golf tournament for as long as I live, and Rory wins this Masters, that's kind of the sign that I'm taking here. But if he doesn't win this Masters, you can believe we're going to be all the way back up. PGA Championships next, we'll be firing on him on that one as well. But no DraftKings lineup, FanDuel lineups, no any of the underground sites, whatever it is. There's nothing on him. I mean, there's not a ton of value there at
sure
6.5 to 1 there. But I mean, it never hurt me or stopped me in the past, is my point. So got to be honest.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate the honesty. I mean, there's 2 ways to go. It's either you try to push as much momentum behind him at your expense, or you just say, you know what, I don't want to make it, bad juju or whatever. So I can appreciate it. I know how bad you want it for him.
Well, and being very honest, the devil's advocate side of me is completely over here. Like, well, after he shoots a 74 on Thursday, you'll get a little better number on him, and you'll pump a little bit of. I've done that a time or 10, to be honest. And so, I can't wait, man.
We're gonna need an accountability check on the on your X account, after Friday, to make sure to see, if he made the cut, or if you got better odds on him or whatever. Make sure you still don't have anything on him.
Yeah, I'll have to give up, because I normally, if I bet, I normally do put it on the timeline at some point, because It's fewer and far between. But well, there's normal bets. Golf bets, I don't think people care. So and plus, I'm losing most times, so I don't want them to see all of that. They don't need to see all of the, me taking 100-1 shot on Bo Hostler at the Valero and things like that. And I'm sorry, that's an absolute indirect shot at Bo Hostler. I love Bo Hostler. He would never be 100-1 at Valero. He'd get a little better odds than that. But all right, guys, let's talk a little bit about betting. Let's talk about some winners. Let's talk top 10s, top 20s, and we're just going to give a couple names with each here. Now, for you, maybe you're not an ordinary golf bettor in golf world. You can bet on everything. You can bet on if guys are making pars or better, or sorry, birdies are better, pars. Bogeys are worse. There's a ton of different things you can do on all these sites nowadays. But one thing that I like to focus on when it comes to golf betting, I know that Danny and Gage and I have talked about a little too, is you can bet top 10 finishers, top 20 finishers. And for some of these guys that do have odds of 80 or 100-1 to go win a golf tournament, you can get a 20-1 on them to finish in the top 20 of a tournament. So the value can really, really be there. And with that being said, let's talk about some top 20s. Gage, you got any sneaky top 20 picks, guys that have maybe good odds or guys that you just think are stone cold locks to finish in the top 20 of this tournament here?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to look at the odds, right? And
Of course.
I think there's a lot of guys that are like stone cold locks, but it's like you're probably not going to get any money back when it comes to top 20. But I think Russell Henley's a guy that usually he usually plays very well at the Masters, and so he's had some good finishes. I think a plus 125, I think, is what I'm seeing on the DraftKings, is really good for a top 20 finish for Russell Henley. I mean, I would even maybe look at him as a top 10, but as top 20, it's really well. Corey Connors is another guy. Will Zalatoris. These are all guys that are playing really good golf, and they played well at the Masters previously, which you can look back and see. If you have multiple stretch years in Augusta where you're playing very good golf, like that's a good sign that you're probably top 20 finishes is you've got a good chance at that. I think the other guy is obviously Minwoo Lee played pretty good the other week, so he's an interesting pick. And then I've heard good things about Cam Smith too. Obviously, he's over on Live, so if you don't watch Live or follow Live, you don't. But he had a good week in Miami the other week, and I think the Masters is just kind of plays to his style. So I think Cam Smith could have a top 20 finish as well.
And got Cam Smith at what, plus 130 there.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Smith at one point, a lot of people thought, he was a consensus top 5 player in the game. The live move kind of, it seemed like slowed him down a little bit, slowed down people's opinions of him, and then the betting market as well. It's changed a little bit on Cam Smith, and that's not to say I don't like the pick at all, because he is a dog and he has incredible hands and short game. And this is a place where you, with these green complexes and speed, you have to absolutely have the best of short games. And Cam, incredible ball striker. So I like that. The one I love the most out of that lot, I will say this, is I like the Russell Henley pick. You're talking about a guy who's a Georgia Bulldog, very familiar with Augusta National. They've spent plenty of time there. He plays well. He hits his long irons very, very good. This is going to be you got to be creative with the long irons here. Got to be able to hit cuts. You got to be able to hit power fades, draws, the lot of shots. They're going to ask for it all. That's what makes this course, what it is. I love the Russell Henley pick. Top 20 for Russell Henley. That's a pick that if I was wagering on this tournament, I'd follow that one, I think, first of those.
Yeah, and I would like, a top 10 is okay too. I think a lot of people are like maybe going a little overboard and being like he can win. And I'm not saying he can't win. I would be a little shocked. I think there's a lot of star power going into this tournament, and I think a big name's going to come out and kind of take over and win. But Russell Henley is a great golfer, and like he always does well at the Masters, so it's not going to shock you. I don't think a top 20 finish for Russell Henley is like it feels pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, and I mean, I know there's been a lot of love for Russell. He's been bet a lot in a lot of different ways. As far as him winning, I mean, I would almost be shocked, just because I think this is going to be a kind of more of a year for the bomber. A lot of rumors that the fairway grass at Augusta is no longer growing and cut towards greens. It is now growing and cut back towards tee boxes, which will eliminate run out after tee shots hit the ground. And I'm not saying it's going to be that big of a difference, but just if it was it's already long, and you already are paid and rewarded for hitting tee balls or bombing tee balls, and obviously playing from fairways. And so I think mud balls might be a little bit more of a thing this week, just because of the way the new fairways have been grown. And that's not to say Russell can't win the tournament. I would like him a lot more. Just I'd feel safe about a top 20 there. For myself, a couple of top 20s that I really like. I don't like to say this because he's a live guy, and I don't really like to back the live guys too much, but I think the Dustin Johnson, I mean, I think it's a really sleepy number on him. Now, maybe DJ's been kind of out of form, hasn't really, crushed it on live or anything like that. But DJ, he's won in this course before. Does he have the appropriate short game? Is his short game in form to handle, again, the green complexes that you're going to see at Augusta National? But hey, as far as off the tee, he's hits a very, very controlled power cut. And then obviously he has the range to get to these par fives and 2. And again, we'll see what happens. We're going to boot Danny just for a second, see if he comes back in here. But yeah, so were you in there that whole time?
I might have been. I might have clicked off something.
Oh man, my bad, dude. It was dark. I thought you were vacuuming, taking over, helping the wife out a little bit. But all right, Danny, for you, man, top 20s. What you got? I'm going to put DJ down. I'll give y'all one more in a minute. I want to hear from Mr. Oldani.
I like Cantlay a lot. That's what I was actually pulling up. He had a weird week at the Valero. He was like sort of in it for a while, and then he missed, a bunch of short little putts. So I just looked. He was like 5 strokes gained on approach like over the week, and then like lost 2 putting, which I feel like for him isn't typical. I feel like he's played pretty good there, so I really like him. And then I think for a top 10, I like Colin. I feel like he's played pretty good there. He's been playing pretty well. I was trying to get some of the data on him, but I feel like he's been one of the he's one of the best ball strikers. He's, as far as you sort of have Scottie and Rory on a planet of their own, but over the last 6 months, I feel like he's been just as steady with them. And then I feel like at least value for me on winning. I like Xander because you're getting him at like 2,200, and I feel like he was hurt earlier, but hopefully maybe he's shaking some rust off. But you have the 2-time last year major winner, and you're getting him at 2,200. So I feel like for the value, that's sort of where I'm looking to get some value, at least for the win.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, man. I mean, obviously, just said he broke through. He finally got there. He won 2 majors last year. It's funny because a lot of people said that if once he won his first one, not that they'd come in bunches, but that second one would come a lot easier than his first, and it didn't take very long for that one to get here. So I mean, between your top 20 right there, I mean, Cantlay's a dog, and he plays the tougher course as well. That's just what Patrick does. Part of me wonders, can he get any love from the crowd? I feel like the crowd might be on Pat a little bit, and I think that's. I'm not going to say that's an underrated part of this. I'm just curious to see how it feels like there's always something with Cantlay nowadays. Ever since the hat incident, slow play, there's always some type of underlying headline here. But I mean, yeah, you have to. I mean, Pat, he is an absolute killer out there on the golf course. There's no doubt about that. And then Xander top 10, yeah, I mean. Or you said you had Xander top 10. Colin. Yeah, you said that really well, man. Colin, I know there's been some talk about him as far as from a betting standpoint. I don't think there's been enough, man. A guy like I've mentioned, DJ playing that controlled power cut. Morikawa plays a better one. Obviously, he's a little bit better with his irons than your average PGA golfer. Now, can he putt? If Colin putt. And that's what you say every time for Colin. If Colin can putt, then Colin can win any golf tournament that he participates in. So,
can Colin putt on Sundays?
Yeah,
that's an even bigger question. Yeah, so Sundays, these Sundays have killed Colin. I mean, he's been so close so many times. I've actually, I'll talk more about Colin later, but I really like Colin. I think he's playing really well, and I think it's time for a breakthrough.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there before as far as winning a major, but this type of Masters breakthrough, a little bit more special.
Yeah.
Obviously, probably a little more pressure packed than him winning the major that he did. I'm not trying to slide him for what he did, but yeah, a whole different beast here. And I think
Two
Colin's
majors.
playing really. That's true. Good point. And the second, yeah, good point. See, and that's the thing. It's time for a lot of people think it's time for him to revert back to that form, and I mean, there's so many of these guys that are capable of winning majors, and realistically looking at this tournament, I think there's no more than probably 12 to 14 guys tops that have an absolute shot, and then it's just so hard not to go back and look through all these odds though and say, oh man, this Sepp Straka, who's been playing really, really well, mashes long irons, incredibly accurate with an iron. And beginning early in the week, you could have got him at 70-1. Any long shots, any really big long shots, maybe you don't actually expect them to have a chance here, but you just can't help yourself. Maybe it's because of their form. Maybe you just like them, or maybe it's their history at Augusta.
What are we considering a long shot?
Anything I'd say over let's go over 40-1 odds.
I like Minwoo Lee.
I mean, there's always been the rumors that Minwoo knows the secret to the Tiger stinger because obviously Tiger showed him.
It's
and,
really, I mean, when we're talking about guys that I worry about Minwoo like getting in trouble and kind of having collapsing holes, and so that's like stresses me out. But he drives the ball really far. He's been playing good golf and he's entertaining, and so like from a perspective of like a long shot, like man, you look at him and you're like, man, that feels. It feels like maybe he can do it. I'm not sure if he can, but yeah, that would be mine. Like if I was gonna put money on a long shot, I think it would be him.
I like it. I mean, Minwoo's his name is fun to say.
Yeah.
Everybody's loved Minwoo Lee from the second he got in. He's
Yeah.
got great TikTok abilities. I like a guy that plays a 2-iron stinger 270. I wish I could do that, but good for
Yeah.
Minwoo. How about you, Danny? Any big long shots that jump out at you?
It's tough. I don't know. I kind of like. I don't know about to win, but I'd like to see Akshay play well this week. Lefties usually have a pretty good history at Augusta. He can sort of hit a fade around there. So he's been playing pretty well this year. So I'd like to see him have a good week. He has he missed a cut last week, but he was tied T3 at the Players, and then a couple top 10s before that this year. So, in decent form.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's really well said. Sorry, wife dropped up a note real quick. Yeah, I mean, I don't think my long shot could win the tournament. I would love it if he did, but it's a guy, and I'll get made fun of. There's one particular individual that'll be listening to this, and I'll get a text the second I say his name. He's been playing pretty decent as far as on YouTube golf. But Jason Day coming off at 90-1 right now, a guy that hits his long irons really, really well. If he can just play from fairways here, I'm telling you, I like where I feel like he's really comfortable in his skin right now. Big Jason Day fan always, and this is why I'll catch flack from this one guy because he probably would have said that he'd predicted I would pick him as my favorite long shot of the week. But this is another guy that he plays some of the tougher courses really well. He really does. He's top 10 this tournament. He's played some of the other more difficult, notorious courses on tour that are the most difficult. I mean, he has a track record for hanging around at the difficult spots, and so. Does he win the tournament? I think it'd be really difficult, but I do kind of like Jason Day as far as the betting standpoint. If I'm having to take anybody of over 40, 50-1, and I'm going all the way down to 90-1. We're taking a big shot. But all right, let's talk winners real quick. Danny, I know that you mentioned Xander Schaufelle. We talked about his 2 majors last year, early season injury, but seems to be healthy now. Do you have another winner or two that you kind of like? And if not, I mean, give us somebody that you might fade. Maybe somebody that's getting a lot of love that you think you maybe don't think it's their time this week.
I mean, obviously Scottie. I think until somebody, he just doesn't really play bad golf anymore. I think if he can, putt. I was looking at but most strokes gain data over the last 3 years at Augusta, and Scottie's by far 3 strokes gained over everybody, but he actually loses strokes with the putter just barely. So I think if he has a good putting week, I think that's I'm not breaking any news there. Whatever he is, plus 400 or something like that. But I like him. I think a fade. I would fade Rory.
All right, how do we kick him off? What button?
I would fade Rory. He's been so close so many times, and I hope he does it, but I don't know if he will. I don't know if he can get that monkey off his back. So that would be, out of the favorites, probably where I would actually fade. And it's more fun for us to have a little back and forth on Sunday if he's in the hunt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's not like I can actually talk any trash to you about fading Rory there, because I'm the one that just told you I'm actually not backing him at all for the first time in a very long time. So, yeah, I can't give you any grief there. What do you got, Gage? Winners, maybe a guy you'd fade?
Yeah, so for winners, obviously, I got a couple. I think Scottie and Justin Thomas come to my mind. Justin's been playing really good golf, other than his one horrible collapse at TPC, but he's been playing decent golf. But I think it's Colin. I think Colin's been playing really good golf. I think that it's time for him to kind of make that breakthrough. He had top 10 finishes at all 4 majors last year. He's so consistently good, and it just comes down to not getting beat by one on a Sunday. That's all it is at this point. And it's I really think that Colin's going to have his breakthrough, and I think it's going to be this weekend.
Would be really cool, man. There's a lot of guys I could say, I'd be really happy if they won. Just a couple of guys that I'm a little bit more happy. I would be a little bit more happy about. Now, Gage, give me a guy you would fade, man. Can't run from it.
I've been going back and forth on this guy because he had a good Masters last year, and
we're safe.
Is decent. I'm going Ludwig Oberg. I feel like I've been going so far back and forth on him. I'm like, man, he had a really good Masters last year. He seems to be, but there's just been something off the last couple times I've watched him. He just doesn't seem to be in the top form that we've seen him in a couple of golf tournaments in the past year. So that's the guy that I would probably fade out of the top 10 guys that are in the running. That I'm just not sure about him.
No, I think that's fair, because he's not in his top form, and that's the hard part about this tournament, is because one of these top 10, 15 guys that hasn't really been in form, they turn it on and they look unbeatable for a couple of days, and that all of a sudden that gets them into contention late on a Sunday. But
yeah.
Oh, that's tough, Danny. The fate of Rory, fair. The fate of Ludwig, fair. My 2 winners, I would say, if guys that I would be the most happy for, I think Rory would be I'm not going to allow myself to say a Texas guy, because that's just the obvious, right? So, Rory would clearly be first, but I love Ludwig. I think he's a
Raider, Red Raider.
Oh yeah. Hey, getting out there in West Texas and dealing with that win for a couple of years, I'm sure it only helped the kid. But I think he's a great personality. Interviews are great. Obviously, it's fun to watch on the golf course. But the coolest thing about him is, y'all see how fast he plays? Dude sees ball, gets up there, hits golf ball, does it again. There's not a lot of back and forth, which maybe that hurts him this week. Maybe he needs to slow it down a little bit, take it another half second, on a couple, pre-swing routines. But I like Ludwig coming in. I'm going to go with my 2 guys that I have winning this. I think it's going to be one of these 2. I feel confident. I don't think I've ever picked a Masters winner before, but I feel confident here in the year 2025. I think it's Rory, or I think it's Bryson. And I'm going to be pretty happy either way, which a while back, I wasn't a big Bryson fan, but he's kind of, the people's champion now. He's taken over the YouTube golf scene. He's won everybody over, at least me. I've done a full heel turn on Bryson DeChambeau. And so I think that it's coming from those two. One of those two guys. I'm gonna talk a little trash, Danny. If Rory's
No, that's
got
fine.
a 7 or 8 shot lead on Sunday, he's setting records. Probably not my reality, but we can all dream. Yeah.
No, I would be happy. I was gonna say Gage. I just pulled up. If you look at Colin from last year Tour Championship, he was second in the Tour Championship last year. Then at Zozo tied 54th at the very end of last year, and then this year second at Century, 17th at Pebble Beach, 17th at Genesis, second at Arnold Palmer, 10th at the Players. He hasn't finished outside the top 20.
Arnold Palmer one was tough.
Yeah,
that was tough.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just think it's time, man. There's no way you can play this consistent of golf, I feel like, and sooner or later not break through. And it may not be this week, but sooner or later it's coming. And I'm just like, I feel like he's been playing really good golf, and he's been really consistent, and he's been really good at the Masters too. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about him.
He's been at Arnold Palmer. I know it was tough. Total 11 strokes gained over the week. And then at the Players, he was almost 10 strokes gained over the week. So, yeah. I mean, just playing unbelievable. The only place he loses strokes is putting and then sometimes around the green. And that's obviously a big part of it at Augusta. But like you said, he's played well there. So he's got a pretty good handle on the green. So, I mean, I think, like I said, I had him in the top 10, but I think it's great value to win.
Let me ask you this last question of the night, and I'll get you jumping out here. I know both of you got things to do, rest to have, but what would be your dream scenario coming down the stretch on Sunday? Give me 3 golfers that would make it for you the best viewing experience to see them neck and neck, say going into Amen corner there on the back 9, and then throughout the rest of the that finish at Augusta. Who do you want to see battling?
I want to see Rory and Scottie. I want to see it come down. I think they're the 2 best right now, and I third straight versus hasn't won a Masters yet. Like that's peak entertainment for me. If we're coming down to that, I mean, we've had.
I'm not ready. I don't think we're built for it.
maybe throw Brooks Koepka in there.
It's tough because
putting pressure on him.
I love Scottie. Like I love Jordan, but Scottie's won. Jordan's won. Like this is for the history of the game. This is for Rory. He's much older than these guys to get to that point of his career that in my opinion, he belongs to. I think he's one of the all-time greats and elites. And so to have him battle Scottie down the stretch would be terrifying. I mean, I'm like, we can't get by Cam Smith. We can't get by Bryson DeChambeau. We can't. I feel like I'm dogging on my guy right now. But what about you, Danny? Down the stretch, same answer, or you got something else?
I mean, that would be incredible, obviously. But for the sake of entertainment, we can go somewhere else. I'd like to see. I'm a Brooks guy. Like I said, I would love if somehow it was like him and John Rahm again, and he could get a little bit revenge. I feel like we've just never seen him play like that, and all the stuff he went through that whole week with that weather, and then to just sort of fall apart on a Sunday like we've never seen from him. So right. I'd love to see him in it, but man, I think it would be cool to just see. I mean, like I said, if Brooks was in it somewhere, if Jordan was in it somewhere, that would be pretty cool. But I think you need I'd like to have 2 guys and then somebody that I really don't want to win it in there. You know what I mean?
Because that makes
better viewing. So I don't know, a Danny Willett, a Patrick Reed. I don't know, anybody that I don't want to win. Those are the 2 that hurt the most, I feel like. So maybe them.
I like that. I mean, I can't believe you said Danny Willett's name on this channel. That's a rough start.
I should never say his name ever again.
That's a rough start for you, but we're going to move past that. We've all.
I was looking at that photo from the Champions Dinner last night, and he was right smack dab in the middle of it. And I'm just like, shouldn't you be on the very end, sort of in the back where nobody can see you?
With the waiter's gear on, drinks in your hand, that's where it's
serving Jordan, since he just served it to you.
Yeah, when Jordan Spieth walks into that room, he's absolutely sick each and every time he sees Danny Willett. I mean, it just has to be a natural feeling for him. And Danny Willett probably, it's probably expected by everybody in there because everyone in the room knows exactly what happened and probably who should have gotten that jacket as well. But
and I have Danny Willett to miss the cut.
That's my guy. Hey, Danny Willett, he said. For myself, same thing. I need somewhat of a villain in there, and I'm not going to paint Phil Mickelson overall as a golf villain, but I think with the PGA and the live stuff, and just a little bit of back and forth, and then for my particular rooting interest, Rory, I think that kind of shapes up as like a villain and hero type scenario, at least in my mind. I'm going to paint it like that all day. But I would love to have those two. I would love to have a Scottie, a Bryson. I think that I'm kind of infatuated with Bryson right now because I really think he's going to just – the crowd will swoon for Bryson, for Rory, for Scottie, these names. But I think Bryson, as much as anybody, will be beloved by the patrons, as they call them there at Augusta, as they're only allowed to call them. But go ahead.
I was going to say I have one question before we finish too. Who do y'all like one live guy? I know I play in like some one and dones. I know I'm sure other people do too, but obviously like at majors, it's sort of a nice if you feel big on a live guy because those are the only ones you can pick them at. So do you guys have a live guy that you like to do well this week or potentially win?
I have a couple. I like Joaquin Neiman, who is a guy that's kind of at the top of live right now, and a guy your boy Phil Mickelson is parading around as the number one player in the world. So yeah, I think he's been playing really good golf, and then obviously Brooks, 5-time major champion, 2 runner-up in the Masters. Like it's hard to sit there and see him at plus, and that's kind of I was asking who's the long odds, because plus 3,000 odds. And sit there and be like, how can he, be that far back? Like, does he still have it? And like, obviously, anytime you have a 5-time major champion, like that guy's always a threat. So
and he's got good history at Augusta too.
Yeah, he's two runner-up finishes, like, and one of them was,
I've got. So I got a bit of a hot take on the live topic. I think it's going to be Phil. I think Phil has been playing damn good golf.
Yeah.
Another guy that's he just kind of seems just rejuiced, a little bit more live here. I'm obviously a big fan of YouTube golf. This is the 3rd or 4th reference, but I just think, he's hitting the ball like he always have. He's tanking it, and I expect Phil to play really, really well. I'm another guy that just seems to be really comfortable in each and everything he's doing right now in the golf world, and so.
Again, he looks like he's having more fun right now than he's been having.
It does.
A little less stress-free type of thing. Like he's just like, I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to play my best.
Right. And I mean, absolutely. And I mean, like, that's the thing though. It's like you're talking about Phil. I mean, if Brooks plays up to Brooks' standard and Phil plays up to his standard, Brooks is going to play better golf because Brooks is a wagon come time for major golf tournaments. And like you gentlemen just said, plenty of reason. What's that?
Bill got the better of him at Kiowa in that final round.
That's a good point. Yeah, really good point.
I would say. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I personally would like to see Phil in the mix. I just want to see him ultimately fall to Rory McIlroy or even like a Bryson because that would be really fun. Those guys have tangled
Was that the year that John Rahm won that he just went absolutely berserk on and ended with like a T3 or something?
When Rory or
no,
Phil?
Phil. I can't remember what year it was.
A couple years ago, but it was like all those live guys just.
It was Phil.
It
was Phil.
Yeah, it was Phil, but I couldn't remember what year it was.
Because he went crazy on Sunday and put 65 or something maybe.
But I was going to say, for me, I mean, again, it's not like this is shocking to anybody, but John Rahm, for whatever reason, sort of flies under the radar now that he's on live like the rest of the guys do, but in 2025, and obviously this is in the live field, so it's not that impressive, but it just sort of goes to show T2, 6, T6, T5, T9. So in the top 10 of every tournament he's played in, strokes gained in all of them, strokes gained driving in all of them. So, if you are putting money on a live guy or using a live guy and you're one and done, he's obviously one to use and past winner as well. So that never hurts out there.
No, I like that. I think if you could pick everybody, same thing I just used with Brooks Koepka and Phil Mickelson. If John Rahm's playing his best golf, I think he's one of the top 3 golfers on the planet, along with Scottie and Rory. Talking about a guy that 4-putt number 1 at Augusta the year that he won the Masters, the mental resolve and fortitude it takes to come back from that. An elite ball striker, if he can just, keep the mental game together as far as – this is a guy who had a lot of money on John Rahm and the 2019 Players and watched him try to get on the par 5 number 11th green in 2 from a fairway bunker carrying that, that part of the lake there at TPC Sawgrass, while his caddy is begging him not to do it. Begging him not to do it. And the second that he does it, his caddy is like, I told you not to do it, and so as long as, the Rahm that won the Masters shows up, the Rahm that won the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, just calm, cool, collected. I mean, like, you've got to love John Rahm's chances anytime he steps on a golf course.
So there's the three. I mean, if somehow and by some way we were just blessed to have like Rahm, Scottie, and Rory, just the three sort of titans of this era, somehow all within a stroke or two on the back nine, that would be pretty incredible.
Really would be, man. I mean, those are legitimately three. I mean, I'm sounding like a bandwagoner, but three of my favorite golfers ever. John Rahm fist bumped me his rookie year at the Austin Country Club, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest dude ever. I didn't know he was a 21-year-old Spanish killer on the golf course that would go on and hang with DJ and match play there in that the final of the match play tournament. But it's fun to watch, man. And this, you look at it, man, and it kind of makes you a little bit sad to look at the betting odds, and you see the PGA Tour and the Live guys together, and at least we have them for all the majors, man. And so what if we're not getting them all together at the Arnold Palmer, or we're not getting to see them at the Memorial, Jack's Place. But when these guys all get together, it just makes it even the more special. Majors were already special, but when you, just like you're talking about, the Titans, you got Koepka, you got John Rahm, the history of a Phil Mickelson, the success of a Phil Mickelson, the guys like Cam Smith, who probably haven't played their overall best golf yet or reached the pinnacle for their careers. And then obviously mixed with all the new talent on the PGA Tour and the Rorys, JTs, Jordans, Scotties. I mean, it's cool stuff, man. I feel like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
Hard to replicate the feeling you get during Masters week. But anything else, gentlemen?
No, I don't think so. Thanks for having me. I know we've been trying to do it for a while, but what better week than the Masters to make it happen?
Amen to that. And we'll do this again. We'll try to come back, and maybe we don't do it every week, but maybe we do it for some of the more marquee tournaments. And but yeah, Gage, thank you for being here. Danny, thank you for being here. Guys, if you're still watching out there, please like the video, share it, get it out there. We want to talk golf all the time, but we want to make sure that you guys are enjoying it and having fun with it. And for you guys that were here, I think we had a little over 230. Thank y'all for being in here. Thank y'all for hanging with us. Enjoy the Masters, man. Enjoy all that comes with it, the pageantry, the traditions, the passion, the craziness of the back nine, and on a Sunday evening and at Augusta National. Thank y'all for being here. We'll see y'all next time.